Welcome back to Lost in the Archive. Usually, when we open a cold case file, we are looking for one missing person. We are looking for an answer to one question: what happened? But today's story is different. Today, we are opening a file that contains not one mystery, but three. It is a story about a baby stolen from a mother's arms. It is a story about a miracle return that captivated the nation. And it is a story about a man who, 50 years later, asked a dangerous question: who am I? This is the case of the three Pauls. And trust me, nothing in this archive is what it seems. Let's go back to April 26, 1964. Chicago. Michael Reese Hospital. Dora Fronczak has just given birth to a healthy baby boy, Paul. She is exhausted but happy. The baby is in the nursery. The next morning, around 9:30 a.m., a woman enters Dora's room. She is dressed like a nurse, white uniform, confident walk. She smiles at Dora and says, "The doctor needs to see the baby. I'll take him for a checkup." Dora hands over her newborn son. She watches the nurse walk out the door. It was the last time she would see him. The nurse walked out of the room, down the stairs, out the back exit, and vanished into the bustling streets of Chicago. When the hospital staff realized what happened, panic set in. It became the biggest manhunt in Chicago's history. 175,000 postal workers, police officers, and FBI agents were looking for one baby. But the trail went cold. The archives show thousands of leads, but zero results. Paul Fronczak was gone. Flash forward 2 years. 1966. Newark, New Jersey. A completely different state. A toddler is found abandoned in a stroller outside a busy shopping center. He has a black eye and looks neglected. No one claims him. The foster family names him Scott McKinley. But an FBI agent in New Jersey sees a flyer from Chicago. He thinks, this boy looks like the kidnapped Fronczak baby. Now, you have to remember, this is 1966. There is no DNA testing, no digital databases. How do you prove a child is yours? The FBI used the only thing they had, the shape of his ear. They compared a photo of the newborn Paul with the toddler found in New Jersey. They said, it's a match. Dora and Chester Fronczak flew to New Jersey. They walked into a room, saw the boy, and Dora cried out, "That's my son." The nightmare was over. Paul was back. It was a national sensation, a miracle, or so everyone thought. Paul grew up in a loving home, but something felt off. He didn't look like his parents. He didn't act like them. They were quiet and conservative. He was loud, loved rock music, and looked different. When Paul was 10 years old, he went exploring in the basement. He found a hidden box of old newspaper clippings. He sat on the floor and read the headlines. Baby kidnapped, baby found. He realized, I am that baby. But the doubt never left him. As he got older, the question gnawed at him. Why didn't he resemble anyone in the family albums? In 2012, Paul, now a grown man, convinced his elderly parents to do the one thing that didn't exist in 1966. A DNA test. He told them it was just for peace of mind. He mailed the kit. Weeks later, the phone rang. The geneticist was on the line. He said, "Paul, there is no easy way to say this. The probability that you are related to Dora and Chester Fronczak is 0%. Let that sink in. The boy found in the mall was not the stolen baby. The FBI was wrong. The parents had raised a stranger's child for 50 years. And this meant two terrifying things. 1. Paul Fronczak, the narrator of this story, had no idea who he really was. 2. The real Paul Fronczak was still out there somewhere. Paul, let's call him Found Paul, hired a team of genealogical detectives. These are people who use DNA databases like Ancestry and 23andMe to track bloodlines. They found his biological family, and the story turned from a mystery into a horror movie. Found Paul was born Jack Rosenthal. He wasn't lost. He was abandoned. His biological family was dark. His biological mother was an alcoholic. His father a disturbed veteran. But here is the chilling part. Jack, our Paul, had a twin sister named Jill. Jill is missing. To this day, the family members imply that something terrible happened to her, and the parents got rid of Jack by leaving him at the mall to cover their tracks. So our hero finally found his identity. He is Jack Rosenthal, but he still carries the name Paul Fronczak. But what about the real stolen baby? The one taken by the nurse in 1964? The investigators didn't stop. They kept digging into the DNA of the Fronczak family. In 2019, they got a hit. A man living in Michigan named Kevin Beatty. Kevin had grown up unaware that he was a kidnapped child. He lived a quiet life. The FBI quietly approached him. They took a swab. It was a match. Kevin Beatty was the real Paul Fronczak. You might expect a happy Hollywood ending here. A grand reunion. The two Pauls meeting, the mother hugging her lost son. But the archive rarely gives us perfect endings. When the real Paul, Kevin Beatty, was found, he was dying of cancer. Dora, his real mother, unfortunately, was suffering from dementia and could not fully comprehend that her son had been found. Chester had already passed away. Kevin Beatty and his biological mother spoke, but they never got the chance to build a relationship. Kevin died in 2020, taking the secrets of his kidnapping, who the nurse was, how he ended up in Michigan, to the grave. This story leaves us with a strange feeling. The man raised as Paul Fronczak solved the mystery, but he lost his identity. He found the real Paul but was too late to save him. And now he has one final mission. He is looking for his twin sister, Jill Rosenthal. Somewhere in the archives, there might be a record of a little girl who vanished in 1965. The story isn't over. What would you do if you found out your entire life was a case of mistaken identity? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into the Lost Files, hit that like button and subscribe to Lost in the Archive. Until next time, keep searching.